Welcome to a few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Av, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Matos and Masey, a total of 244 psukim, but we're going to focus a little bit on Parshas Masey, because Parshas Masey has a number of different topics that it enumerates and speaks about, and they are inexorably connected. We note that it mentions the travels of the Jewish people in the desert from the time they left Mitzrayim until they are ready to enter the land. All those travels, all those Masos are mentioned in Parshas Masey, which is symptomatic of the travels of the Jewish people throughout all the years of the exile. It also mentions not only the travels, but it mentions the division of the land of Israel, as it is divided up amongst the tribes of Yisrael that are going to come into the land of Israel to inherit it and take it over. And consequently, we find that after the Golus, after all the travels, there's a guarantee of the reunification of the Jewish people with the land of Israel to come back home. It also mentions, unfortunately, the Parsha of the Rotzchim, of those who kill, God forbid, on purpose or by accident. And even by accident, it mentions the Arei Miklot that are to be set up for the sake. And even when there's an accidental death, we know that we think to ourselves, was it possible to prevent by showing greater concern? And of course, the Sedra ends with the daughters of Tzlofchad being told that they can marry whoever they want, but they should try to stick with their own tribe so that the nachala, the inheritance of the Jewish people, remains true to the family. So we have these number of different parshios, and in it, in the middle, in Perek Lamed Gimel, in Pasuk Lamed Ches, it tells us an unusual circumstances. It says, Vayal Aharon Hakohein El Hor HaHor. Aharon the Kohen went up to the mountain, Al Pi Hashem Vayomos Sham, and he died there. Now listen to this. Bishnas Ha'arboim L'tzeis B'nei Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim. In the 40th year, when the Jewish people left the land of Egypt, Ba'chodesh HaChamishi Be'echad LaChodesh. In the 5th month, on the first day of the month, count the months, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av. The 5th month, the month of Av, Be'echad HaChodesh, the Rosh Chodesh Av. Aaron's death is the only one that's recorded in the Torah as to the exact day. Moshe Rabbeinu's death is not mentioned in the Torah as to the exact day. Aram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is not mentioned in the Torah as to the exact day. Only the death of Aharon HaKohen, about whom we say, Havemi Talmidiv Shel Aharon, Oev Shalom, Verodev Shalom, Oev Es HaMakom, Oev Es HaBriyos, and Karvan La Torah. We have to bring them close to the Torah. Aharon was the example of Ahavas Chinam, and mentioning Aaron's name on Rosh Chodesh Av gives us an indication that we should be following and doing the same thing that Aaron did, which is loving all creations, all of the Jewish people. We all have differences, but Oev Es HaBriyos Umekarvan La Torah, bring them closer to the Torah and bring them together. Oev Shalom Verodev Shalom. Now it's interesting to note, very important, in fact, for us to note, that the Gemara in Yuma mentions that I believe it's on Tesam Beis, that the Beis HaMikdash in the first case was destroyed because of man's lack of observance of the mitzvahs ben Adam lamakom. Of course, the Gemara mentions 3 things. It mentions, first of all, it mentions the sin of Avodah Zarah, and then Shvichas Damim and Gilu Arayos, which are, of course, predicated by a lack of faith in Hashem, and that's why that the Avera of Avodah Zarah is mentioned paramount, and that's because we had Averos Bein Adam Lamokom. But that happened, it brought about the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash, and in 70 years, the second Beis HaMikdash was built, and the sin was gotten rid of. It was rebuilt. And since it was rebuilt, therefore, since it was rebuilt, it was an indication that the sin was forgiven. And now it was rebuilt. And why was the second one destroyed? Because of sinas chinam, because of man's inhumanity to man, because friends couldn't get along. The Jewish people, two brothers, couldn't get along. And consequently, and that has not been fixed up yet. We need to correct that and to fix that. And so, when we talk about the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and we mention that Aharon's death took place in Parshas Masey on Rosh Chodesh Av, which is this Shabbos, therefore we should consider to ourselves that maybe we have to focus specifically with a greater emphasis on care and concern for our fellow Jews, not to disparage them, not to say Lashon Hara about them, not to be angry at them, but to bring Klal Yisrael together. Let's try to find ways to bring ourselves together, to speak nice to and about each other, to call for the Klal Yisrael to daven together, to sing together, to come together in unity in order to do away with the Averos that brought about the destruction of both the first and especially the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash. Because if we have Avas Hashem and Avas Chinam, there's no question that we will be successful in having these terrible days taken away. The Sada Guru Rebbe, it's interesting, is spoken about in a number of places in the history of the Jewish people, especially after he managed to escape from the Nazi destruction, which they had originally planned to wipe him out. And following the annexation of Austria in 1938, the Sadeguru Rebbe was forced to sweep the streets of Austria. He had to sweep the streets. The Nazis laughed at him as he had to sweep the streets in Vienna. And he promised himself that if one day he comes out of this, he is going to fulfill the sweeping of the streets in Yerushalayim Kodesh, which he did. In fact, every single year on Yom HaAtzmaut, from his house in Tel Aviv, he would go out and sweep the streets. And even the protests of the Hasidim would not stop him, because he made a promise that he was going to do that, because he zoche to overcome the destruction of the Jewish people. And we can do the same thing. Let's make promises that we are going to sweep away our anger, sweep away any of the discord among the Jewish people. Let's come together. We're brothers. We're all together in this. We love each other. Deep down, we want only that the Mashiach should come and bring about peace for Klal Yisrael. All the other things should be pushed aside, and we should find ways, seek ways to bring about the unity of the Jewish people, to love each other, to daven together, to sing together, to dance together, and to fulfill the wonderful promise of Ohei Shalom, Verodei Shalom, of Aharon Hakohein. Yetz Hashem, the Sadeguru Rebbe said, when Mashiach comes, the 3 weeks are going to be changed from mourning to joy, and that Shiva B'Tammuz is going to be a Yom Tov. The 3 weeks are going to be like Chol HaMoed, and Tisha B'Av is going to be the greatest Yom Tov of all, because we will have the opportunity to demonstrate how Klal Yisrael can come together. And so on this Shabbos of Parshas Matos and Masey and Chazak, and Mevorchim, and fulfilling the bracha of Rosh Chodesh, it is Rosh Chodesh Shabbos, we should join together and to sing and daven and love each other, find ways to make peace amongst the Jewish people so that Klal Yisrael can be assured of the eventual coming of the Mashiach speedily in our time. I want to wish a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos to all of Klal Yisrael, especially to our wonderful young Israel Bethel of Borough Park, who has such an opportunity to do good things together and to bring each other closer, to love Klal Yisrael and bring about that we can be a demonstration of the beauty of Jewish people coming together b'simcha. And so I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom U'Varach, a wonderful Rosh Chodesh, and 9 days that's going to bring about a time of simcha for Klal Yisrael, and a Shabbat Shalom U'Varach.